Hello and welcome to Digital Signage Explored. My name is Tim.
And my name is Joe.
And Joe, obviously, your counterpart doing Signagelive Explored.
Absolutely.
And we're here at ISE 2025. Very much thanks to Midwich and Holden for allowing us to come in and using the Avion airspace to record a bit of footage and talk about ISE a little bit more loosely about our experiences, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
this is your first ISE.
My first ISE.
And this is my fourth.
Absolutely. I feel like you end up coming to these events. The thing I'm learning very quickly is that you wander around and you do have like a tagline. It comes along with your badge. You've got your name, you've got your barcode and your role and company that you're working with. Mm-hmm. And you also have your tagline, which is like the quick elevator pitch of what you think this whole show is about so far, especially when you are going around and saying, this is my first ISE.
Exactly.
Because that is my first ISE, and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, I feel like a kid at Disney.
I love how everyone's reaction to that statement is one of two things. It's either like, oh, I'm so sorry, or it's like, oh, how are you finding it? It's like there's different levels of jadedness throughout the time. Like people have been here for 10 years, they're seasoned experts and they've seen it all before. But what I thought would be good to do, considering this is your first time, is kind of almost interview you. I still think I'm relatively fresh. I think 4 years is like, I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not over the hill of it yet. But I have seen a lot of the stuff, and I've seen it every year, and there are slight iterations and there are slight changes, but it's not universally new to me. Whereas for you, and it's been nice walking the booth with you because, and the show floor, is because you're looking at this, and the first thing you said when day one you turned up, I said, go have a wander, come back, tell me what you think. And you saw the thing, you went, man, there's like screens that like move here. and I was like, yeah. So it'd be really good to pick your brain, especially if whoever's watching this, they're debating whether to go to ISE for the first time, to get your perspective on ISE.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first thoughts walking through the door, day one, what were you thinking?
I think I'm someone who's really, the minute I see blue, I don't know why, maybe this is the thing, blue feels professional to me.
Yes.
I think that's like and that's not, I mean, maybe that's a low-key...
Self-promotion?
Self-promotion, because obviously blue's a big part of Signagelive.
Yeah. So,
I mean, taking that aside, walking in, blue everywhere. So I was like, okay, this feels serious.
This is professional.
This is professional because it's blue. So
and then you walk through, you go, obviously, we took the top
route. So we kind of got the aerial view of I said aerial view, but you got the top line view of everything. And I think that I was like, my immediate thought was, this is humongous. And you were like, Joe, this is just the first hall.
That was hall one.
Yeah, that was, I don't think it was hall one. It was probably just like the lobby.
Yeah. And then you keep walking through and you see all of these bigger shows, and you see the LGs and the Samsungs and the ones that have spent a lot of money to be here. And they've got small cities that they've built. Yeah. And obviously then as you progress closer to our booth, you see more smaller, it almost turns into like a village feeling of like lots of different people coming together.
100%.
What was your impression as you came into Hall 4 with the digital signage piece?
I think that it was actually quite a warm welcome, mainly to walk in and see BrightSign straight away, because like, they feel like home. They're obviously a long-time partner of ours, so to see them there was great. But yeah, like immediately, to be surrounded by so many different kinds of LEDs, the moving ones, the ones that are in weird cove shapes, and it reminds you of how the art of the possible in what is possible with this stuff. Because when you day to day, we see this stuff day to day, so we get used to it. We're used to screens because we're around that a lot. But it's when you come to a show like this and it's kind of like, okay, let's play. That feels like the general impression from everyone. It's like, we're all here to put on our best faces or put on our best suits. But at the same time, it's nice to see people having fun with it and to actually they're putting on their best face in a way that is showcasing what they can do, but it's also showcasing what technology can do. Right. There's like the two things, isn't there? It's kind of like what everyone is doing as a company, which is brilliant. Like everyone's doing an incredible job here. But you've got, from a technological perspective, you've got all of this technology that some people are really lucky to see. Yeah. Like, and for me, like you say, you've seen it a lot, so you feel, oh yeah, there's a screen that moves. But or that is like a bundle of screens that are together, or an alcove or something like that. But it really is for someone like me, when I'm going into this industry and I hear about all of this and I know all this stuff's possible, but then when you see it, it's just something completely different, isn't it?
Totally, absolutely. And then we've now been fortunate enough to walk most of all of the halls. In fact, we've been from Hall 1 to Hall 8 and to the sound studio as well. So we've seen pretty much the gamut of everything.
15,000 steps.
In one day, and then the rest. What's been the thing that has attracted you the most?
I have to say, one of one of the biggest things that made me go wow was, and you're going to have to remind me of the company name because I've...
Hypervision?
Hypervision.
Yeah, I thought you might be, yeah.
Like
yeah.
walking in, seeing like a fan type technology built with LEDs and it's creating these moving images. And it just makes you think that's just us seeing it in the flesh, right?
Yeah.
It almost has that effect that, and it's something I love about older films, for example. You have the practical effects and, you know, that to me is a lot more attractive than showing content on a screen doing something.
Yeah.
But instead you're showing the screen doing something. Like the fans become a part of the experience, and they've got these, and if anyone who's seeing this who hasn't gone and seen this, go to Hypervision stand, because they've got small fans that are comprised of tons of LEDs, and they're building out this motion, and you're kind of forgetting there's a fan, and it looks like an animation is happening in front of you. I felt like a bit like Mary Poppins when you've kind of got like the mixture of like the cartoon world and the real world.
Well, that's what's really interesting through Hypervision, and there are other technologies that do something similar, but I think they do a very good job of branding the art of the possible with that technology.
Yeah.
I went over to the Sphere in Las Vegas, and they actually have some of those installed permanently, and it's situationally perfect for that technology because it's very high future. It really fits in with the theme, and it blends in seamlessly. And also the benefit of doing it in a place like that is not to pick things apart, but the fans generate quite a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So you have to put it in places. You couldn't have it in like a quiet lobby. It would just be too disruptive. But big events and stadiums makes a huge amount of sense. What I've noticed from you when you were looking at it, there was kind of the big showy piece in the middle, which was like a person, you know, dancing, and they kind of looked like a massive hologram.
Yeah.
And you hadn't seen that there was a single bladed one in the very corner.
Oh, the little bird.
And it was just a bird.
Yeah.
And it was contextually such a tiny touch, you almost didn't see it. But then all of a sudden something doesn't make sense because it's not in the stand, it's kind of poking out of the stand. And the content there really makes it pop because it's just such an organic, well-fitted piece of content for this environment. I do think Hypervision is really interesting, and just as an FYI, Hypervision does work with BrightSign and Signagelive, so you can technically control content over there. Small plug there. No, Hypervision's a really good one. I really liked, completely off the world of digital signage, but we went over to Hall 8, and we saw some robotics, which was fascinating.
Oh, that was incredible.
We've seen those Black Mirror-style robotic dogs walking down the show floor with a teddy bear stuck to the top of it, which I always think is like almost like to disarm you. It's like, it's not just a robot dog, look at the cute teddy bear on top. But and that thing goes at a clip as well. If it wants to run, it really bolted away.
Well, it both kind of threw us yesterday, didn't it? Because we were walking down the corridor, they're moving this dog around, everyone's, you know, going like, oh my God, that's great. And then all of a sudden the dog it's almost like a real dog. It spotted a squirrel.
It saw a car and ran off. And when you see the owner start running, be like, no, trying to turn the off button and nothing's happening, then you got to run.
Yeah, that's
But there was like a human character that would shake hands with people in the audience, which I would like to do, but I'd be so fearful of toppling it.
Yeah.
Like, be like, oh, you know, it's that technology that's nearly there, but when you actually try and like nudge it, it just goes over. And I just have to run away from fear and shame.
On the topic of that, the dog technology there, I may be going off on a tangent.
Technology.
The dog technology.
I think that's the technical term they use.
That is
dog technology.
That's true. That I'm pretty sure that I saw years ago, and this has come up because you talked about toppling the robot. There was a version of that dog technology.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that it was designed for like some kind of government thing.
Yeah, it was...
or the army, sorry, and it was to carry their equipment.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing a picture of them or a video of them trying to kick it over.
Yeah.
It doesn't fall over.
Yeah.
Which was incredible.
I did remember what the name, Atlas. Is it Atlas? I can't remember. There's a company
something like that.
But back onto experiences. No, that's right. We divert all over the place.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I want to talk to you about is the experience of ISE from a human perspective.
Yep.
Because you've been in the industry for a little while. You worked in support for Signagelive, and then you've come over to marketing from this side. And this, I'd say, is your real kind of first outing and going to talk to... We were talking about this morning, talking to people that you've emailed for years, and then finally putting a face to the name. And how do you think that changes the dynamic of that relationship with those people you've been dealing with?
I think it really... First and foremost, it makes you realise that despite the faces and the professionalism that we put on, and we will retain that professionalism, but it really helps to just break down that barrier. Because as someone who is new to this industry, and I've only been working in digital signage for the past 2 to 3 years, marketing only just over a year, right? I'm someone I'm a learner, I'm a sponge. I go into every conversation like I'm going to just take as much in as I can. I'm a listener, everyone's a teacher to me. And because of that, there's kind of like that teacher-student relationship. And like, well, they're right, and I just have to listen.
You'll get over that eventually.
It creates like an authoritative thing in your head. This is all mental.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The minute you meet people that you've been emailing, or you meet people that you're used to seeing through like a LinkedIn post, you realize we're all just human. Everyone's been lovely. I've loved meeting all of the people. And it's really, that human element really comes through. We are just all people trying to do our jobs. And
100%.
We're almost all just sponges because everyone's listening to what like everyone is doing here. There's so much cross-pollination from competitors and from other stands that, you know, come from different industries as well.
Yeah.
Like we're all going into each other's stands and we're talking to each other. And and it is on a human level. We're like, well, what do you do? Tell me. And they're telling you, and it might not even relate to your industry, but it is just like the human condition, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's really nice to have that experience, because one of the things I said to you when you do meet these people for the first time and start putting faces to names is the relationship never goes back to what it was before. You won't email someone that you've sat and had a chat and a drink, more off topic, talking about family and talking about what they like to do. And you never quite go back to that business email-y style. And it's so much nicer I would recommend anyone who is new to the industry or has the opportunity to come, just to absorb the people that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis in person. Gives you a much better understanding of how those people are talking, how those people engage and interact with things. We have a pretty eclectic group of people on our stand today. We've got someone from Australia, someone from the US, someone from Denmark, someone from England, someone from Sweden, me, and then, you know, and having them all sit around a table and just start chatting and seeing that everyone is very much universally getting on, but there's just different nuances to people.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of getting a different story. Everyone's experience is different, right? Like, take myself, for example. I don't know how many people have gone through being in a support team and then jumping over to marketing, but I didn't realize how much that would help me being here, because I've seen partners that we've worked with for years as well, and it's nice seeing them, putting a face to the name. That the emailing part of it is going to change, but actually, it makes me realize that there are more conversations to be had.
Yeah.
And it's because of what I've seen in my role in support. We've kind of created a story and a bond that I didn't realize we were creating. When I jumped from one to the other, it's kind of like your responsibilities change.
Yeah.
But actually, when you're in a company and you're working with all these great partners, you're creating lasting bonds no matter what department you're in, whether you're dealing with that person a lot or not. It's a lasting relationship, isn't it?
I think so. I think it definitely is. And I think that it's, as you do these more and more, you start to develop kind of direct friendships. It's odd because they're friendships that you pick up and drop, you know, every 6 months, because you don't see everyone every day. But it's just, you can get the work done. You go, look, we'll go and meet at this show or whatever event it might be, and then we can spend an evening and just have a chat. And that's a lot of the times where the ideas start flowing, because a couple of glasses of wine, you start thinking, well, what if we did this? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we going down this route? And you can really start to unfold that in a way that a Teams meeting maybe just isn't quite as conductive for that creative process and really kind of nuanced. That, I think, has been the turning point for us from a booth perspective, is we capture new audiences. Yeah. But then there's also the opportunity to say, look, everyone is in the same town for 5 days. Why don't we just all get together and have these conversations where universally, I don't want to fly over to the UK, or I don't want to fly over there just for that one meeting. Just doesn't make sense. But whilst everyone's here, just come and sit with us. We'll use the booth almost like a meeting space just to have these moments in person that really help the relationship keep going.
Yeah, and I think particularly for us, like being a cloud-based CMS, and given that there are probably more cloud-based partners and companies here, I think it really helps to sort of solidify what we're about. One of the things I've actually really loved, speaking from our own stand perspective, I've loved hearing that our team have been so back-to-back with meetings. Yeah. And it's like, I've said to them, look, again, I'm just still trying to learn what's going on, what the process is. And most of my conversations have been along the lines of, are these new people you're meeting? They're like, no. They're people who, we're from the same country in a lot of cases. A lot of them have come from the UK as well, and they're over here. And they're taking the time out to sit down, even if they've not got anything pressing to talk about or anything that is like there's an issue that's going on at the moment, or there's a project we're about to roll out. It doesn't even need to be that. It's more of like, let's just catch up and see where we're at in our relationship. Let's see how's everything going. Where can we go from here?
Yeah,
and it doesn't always need to be that. It can also just be oh, that was nice to see you. Like, I've met people here, and again, coming from that support role, I've had people come over to me and say, oh my God, it's Joe. I know. And it's like that thing you said from
what
like,
are you doing here?
Yeah, they're kind of like, oh Joe, what are you doing here? And it's also a bit of that when you start creating content as well. Like, it's been really nice to have people go, oh, Joe, and these are people I've not heard of in some cases as well.
Well, I think that's where we're going to creative marketing too deep, but it does really, you don't understand the ripples underneath the water that you make when you do that kind of stuff. I've got a couple more questions for you before we wrap up here. But kind of quick fire questions.
Go on.
In fact, let's do this. I'm gonna shoot off quick, short answers to this. How much do your legs hurt?
Today, not as much.
Okay. How much have your legs hurt over the week?
Oh, a lot.
How many mixes have you done?
I've done 2, technically, 2.
You've done the 16:9 mixer.
16:9 and then
Chrome OS
event last night.
How are you finding those?
Great.
Yeah?
Like, again, one of those things where like you think about it beforehand, feels intimidating because like a lot of people in a room that I don't know.
Yeah.
You go and again, like, immediately the barriers are broken down. You're like, yep, we're all humans there doing the same thing where we all have lives away from that professionalism. And you mix the two and you learn the quirks of these people and how interesting people really are.
100%. Have you enjoyed your ISE?
I really have. I feel like I'm still enjoying it. Like, despite us running around and seeing a lot, I've still got a lot I want to go and check out.
Yeah, 100%. Will you come back next year?
Yeah, I believe so.
Cool.
Will you come back?
I don't know. Maybe you don't need me.
The seasoned pro here.
Maybe you don't need me. I'm like, you've got all the things you need now. You can go and do it. I'm going to go lie down. 4 years is enough for me.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate you coming on. It's nice to do it's a cross-pollinated show between both of our channels.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to go and do some more recording and filming. I would say goodbye to you, but we're just going to leave this and just keep recording anyway. Yeah. So it's not really goodbye. It's more like this is the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can say check us out on LinkedIn, Signagelive Explored, Digital Signage Explored.
And obviously signagelive.com.
And signagelive.com, of course.
All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.